So our roulette wheel is looking pretty super. Got all that lined up in there pretty well. So the next thing we have to do is place the numbers. And we're going to do that in a new blank layer. And we are going to come over here. We can do it a couple of ways with our text tools under the Create tab. You've got a logo maker right here, which we don't really need to use. We got text layers, which we're not going to use that one. But that one's real nice because it makes bevels and everything else. You got your simple text right here, which just allows you to type out a text string altogether, which we might use. But then you also have the make text in here, as well as the multi-text. And that's actually a really nice one to work with because you can literally type in a string right here and set some parameters and away you go. You can load text too with some of these as well. Or the make text, you can load a text file. But I think just for now, what I'm going to do is line this up in the top view with the simple text tool. And the reason is it'll make life a little bit easier when we have to size this later rather than trying to build it all from the start. So let me do this. I'm going to pull this up here and just right around that first area there. My first number is going to be, and I'm just using my reference, 0, 32, 15, 19, and so on. Okay, so I can come in here and I can type 0, open up my numeric, and I'm just going to choose an Arial font. We should probably use something a little bit fancier, I would think. Maybe a Book Antica. Let's try that. Yeah, might be a little bit nicer. Okay, and there's my 0, and I need this to fit inside that little spot there. Okay, because don't forget, we're going to have two numbers on certain occasions, so it's easier to create it with this text tool. And then I'm going to hit spacebar a couple times, type the next number. Now, I don't know if I need to do 2 spaces or 1, and that is the question. Okay, because what we're going to do is type this whole string and then bend it. So we got 32, space 15, space 19, space 4, space 21, space 2, space 25, space 17, space 34, space 6, and so on. And I'm doing 13, and then 36, 11, 30, 8, 23. Let's see how we're looking here. Yeah, I didn't think that 3 came out. Now, if this happens where you have to go back, just hit your backspace because the tool's still live. 23. Okay, here is what happened. We actually ran out of room. It doesn't look like I can add much more than that. So I'm going to stop at 8, hit my backspace, turn off the text tool, and I'm going to start again. And we can just line it right up. Like that. Shift, backspace will remove that. 8 was our last. 23 is next. Space 10. Space 5. Space 24. Space 16. Space 33. 1. 20. 14. 31. 9. Let's see how we're doing. 22, 18, 29, 7, 28, 12, 35. Oh, 12 as far as we can go. And we'll turn another. And this is why that make text is good. If you had a text file, you could load it in and all of these would be there. But it's easier to line it up this way. 12 was our last. We need 35, 3, 26, and 0. Or did I do 0 on the front? All right, so now I know that this text is all there. Yeah, I did 0 on the front. I could do it either way. I could just take this and delete it. And save my scene, first thing. Okay. Now from here, all I need to do is line this up and bend it. Not quite as easy as our array, but we'll try and make it work. Okay. And just so you can see where this is going, if you hold it up, let's do this. Press Q and we'll call this text. So it's white. See how that lines up right in there? We want to make sure that that lines up with our black and red, which we've yet to do on the outskirts of this craps table. The transition remains the same, meaning it doesn't alternate for the black and the red. So here we can bring this full frame, go to polygon mode. This one, all of these here are exactly the same. And this will help us line up our text. So like I said, this is actually a pretty easy project. Something that's going to render and look very, very cool. But it is not a speedy process. Just kind of little things like this that you have to do. Okay, press Q, and this is our black. Deselect with the question mark key, and this guy is our green. Press Q and green. And save. Okay, so now when we go back here to our text, you can see that we're going to be able to line that up much easier. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to come over here to our top view. Same thing like we did earlier, smooth shade. Let's do this if we can. Select all that with the right mouse button. Hold the shift key. 32 needs to be over here. Okay, about like that. The biggest challenge now is to actually rotate this. Okay. So if I undo that and I move this down to the 0, even though we spent all that time lining it up, and I choose bend, now it's not stretching as much. It looks pretty good. So it's just a matter of getting this in that last little bit there. Let me do it one more time. I'm holding the control key to constrain, and actually it was starting to limit me. Yeah, there we go. Come on, get in there. One more. I think. There. Perfect. Okay. So it always seems to work better around that 0. Not a big deal because we still can just come back here to our top view, line that up. Now, here's the thing. I had it lined up, but it was stretching. And I knew that if I had brought it to 0, two things are going to happen. The fonts would look good, but they're going to be now on my inner track. They're not going to be where I need them. That's okay because I can actually just increase the size of these. Watch. Select all these. Hold the shift key so I can see my background. Shift H, but set your mode to origin, which is good. And just size this up. Okay, now you might need a little finessing, and I just press F2 to center. And then if you rotate, get that 0 in the green. That's your starting point. Okay. Now remember I said I might want to put 2 spaces in between? Okay. By putting 2 spaces and still getting the circumference, what would happen is I'd actually end up with some smaller fonts. Okay. Because right now, the way the kerning works, and that's kind of really the problem with a lot of fonts these days, is that sometimes they're just too far apart. And rather than going into each one of these and moving them manually, I'll probably redo this one more time and just put 2 spaces in between everything. Okay. But it's up to you. You can actually sit here and manually try and just kind of do it like this. You don't want any particular one to be smaller or larger than the other. And you can see just by doing a couple of these, without much effort, you start really making them look a little messy. But what we're going to do after this is we're going to actually stencil them in. And like the craps table, if the stencil gives us a little error with these amount of fonts, we can just line that up right on there. So go ahead and work on yours. I'm going to make one more text string with a larger spacing in between, and then we'll set it all up for the final stencil.